What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we will be covering our fifth and final Power 5 conference, going over one player to watch from each school. And today, we have the SEC, definitely one of the more talented conferences in all of college basketball, and some real heavy hitters here throughout the conference. So, yeah, excited to hop into it today. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get right to it. First up for Alabama is going to be a returning player for them, Amari Allen, who was going into his sophomore season this year. Definitely one of the more talented players in the entire country, and certainly in the SEC. I was very high on him as a draft prospect last year. I had a first round grade on him, and I thought he could definitely get picked in the first round. He decides to come back to school and hopefully develop more of his game. I think there are some reports that he's going to have more of an on-ball role, maybe play a little bit of point guard this season. So I'm definitely excited to see how he could look as possibly like a pseudo point forward, or handle the ball a little bit more. He was great in his freshman season, averaging 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal per game. Shot 45% from the field, 34% from three, and 74% from line. And Alabama did lose quite a bit of a production from last season, losing LeBaron Philon Jr., Latrell Wrightsell, Aiden Sherrill, Charles Bediako, who played in 5 games, Taylor Bowen, Houston Millette. Aiden Holloway, I think, is still in limbo of either coming back or not. But either way, Amari Allen is definitely going to be like the top scoring option for the Crimson Tide this season. So excited to see what he can do in that new role for head coach Nate Oates. They are also bringing back London Jemison and Caton Bristow from last season, or Bristow. They are also bringing in some key transfers like Drew Fielder from Boise State and Brandon Garrison from Kentucky, along with 4 top 100 recruits like Jackson Richardson, Caden Samuels, Anderson Diaz, and Terrace Bowie. So, yeah, definitely a lot of talent still there for the Crimson Tide. But I think Amari Allen has a chance to be one of the best players, not only in the SEC, but in the country this season. Next up for the Arkansas Razorbacks, one of the most highly touted recruits coming into college basketball, Jordan Smith Jr. He's going to be playing for the Razorbacks this season. He was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year. He was the Max Preps National Player of the Year, the Naismith Boys High School Player of the Year. He basically got every award you could get. He was a McDonald's All-American. As a senior this past year, he averaged 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals per game. Shot 56% from the field and 37% from three-point line. Really effective, obviously, player. Definitely one of the top prospects in the draft this upcoming season. And, it's definitely in line to be the next, like, Cal disciple. Obviously, he has a history of, developing guards and being one of the top, having a ton of talent in the NBA. Throughout the league. The Razorbacks are getting back Billy Richmond from last season. They're also bringing in Jeremiah Wilkinson from Georgia and Cooper Bowser from Furman to go along with a ton of talented recruits like Jashawn Andrews, Abdou Toure, Davion Thompson, and Mika Murinen. So, again, Coach Cal has a ton of talent coming in, and I think Jordan Smith is definitely going to be at the top of the list there. He's super strong and physical. He can get in the lane. He's listed at 6'2", 205, and he's a really good defender too. He's really active in like the lane. He's got quick hands to force steals, but he can attack the basket. He can space the floor. He can score at all 3 levels. So just excited to see how he's going to translate to the college level, and I think has a chance to be probably like a top 10, maybe even top 5 draft pick in 2027. Next up for the Auburn Tigers, a returning player for them in Tahad Pettifford. He'll be going into his junior season and his 3rd year with the Tigers. Last year for the Tigers, he averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal per game. And his efficiencies did drop a little bit with more volume. He shot 39% from the field, only 29% from 3, and 83% from the line. He was more efficient as a freshman with 42% from the field and 37% from 3. So I'm hoping that this season he could get those efficiencies back up and, just continue to grow as a scorer and a playmaker. I think he's definitely going to be the top scoring option this season after Keyshawn Hall is leaving. They are also bringing back Kevin Overton. So got some continuity there for head coach Stephen Pearl. The Tigers are also bringing in a couple of key transfers like Adam Olson from South Alabama, Thomas Dowd from Troy, and Bucky Oboye from Santa Clara, as well as Owen Freeman from Creighton. So definitely some new faces there, but some good talent coming in. But I definitely think Tahad could be one of the top scorers in this conference. He's really talented with the ball in his hands. He's got a quick first step. He's got a good handle on him. And I definitely think that he has a chance to kind of rebuild his stock. He could have potentially been a draft pick in the 2025 class after his freshman season, but decided to come back to school for a sophomore year. Probably didn't live up to the expectations that he wanted to from efficiency standpoint. So I definitely think he's in store for a big junior season. Next up, for the Florida Gators, I'm excited to see what Boogie Fland can do this season. Last year for the Gators, he averaged 12 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. He shot 45% from the field, 24% from three, and 73% from the line. Now, that three-point efficiency is definitely, a key point in his development. Hopefully, he can be more consistent and just more of a reliable shooter for the Gators this season. They're not going to have Xavier Lee in the backcourt this year to go alongside Boogie Fland. So I think that could actually help Fland a little bit and just be more of the primary ball handler and facilitator for them. The Gators are returning a lot of key guys from last year, like Thomas Howe, Alex Condon, and Ruben Chinilu. So a lot of the same faces for head coach Todd Golden. Pretty much running back the same team, and maybe even getting Denzel Aberdeen, who was with Florida, then went to Kentucky, and now is trying to come back to Florida. So we'll see how that all plays out with like the court rulings and stuff. I don't know if he's officially been let back yet, but I definitely think that Boogie can take control of being like the main creator and score hopefully for this team. I think having a year under the Florida system and head coach Todd Golden is really going to help him out. He's going to be a lot more comfortable this season, and also playing with basically the same roster as last year. I think that's going to help him out a lot. So excited to see what he can do in his junior season with the Gators. Next up for the Georgia Bulldogs is going to be another returner in Canon Catchings. He's going to be going into his junior season. He spent his freshman year at BYU and then this last season with the Bulldogs, and he averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. Shot 42% from the field, 38% from three, and 65% from line. And I definitely think Catchings has the talent and hopefully now the opportunity to continue to grow as a scorer and be one of the more, productive players for the Bulldogs this season. And head coach Mike White, they are not Jeremiah Wilkinson is transferring to Arkansas, so they have a bit more room for some player development there, and hopefully some more room for Catchings to grow as a scorer. They are bringing back Blue Kane and Marcus Melender, while also bringing in Freddie DeLone from Penn State and Brady Dunlap from St. Louis. But I definitely am the most high on Canon Catchings. He's a really, just effective scorer at all three levels. He's got great length and size to kind of defend multiple positions on the perimeter. And he's a really microwave scorer. When he gets going, he's hard to stop. He can, hit tough shots, contested shots. He could, get to the basket, can finish over guys. So yeah, great athlete, and excited to see what he can do in his junior season at college basketball and for Georgia. Next up for the Kentucky Wildcats, one of the more highly touted players in the transfer portal, Alex Wilkins, coming over from Furman. He was a freshman last season, and he was incredible for Furman last season. He averaged 18 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists per game, shooting 46% from the field, 33% from three, and 82% from the line. So, yeah, a really incredible just floor general, facilitator, and scorer, and is going to be really exciting to watch for head coach Mark Pope and the Wildcats this season. Kentucky is bringing back some really important players like Malachi Marino, Cam Williams, and Trent Noah from last season, but they are definitely losing a lot of production like Otega Owe, Colin Chandler, Muhammad Diobate, and Jalen Lowe from last season. They are bringing in, alongside Alex Wilkins, Milan Momcilovic, who's obviously one of the top players in the transfer portal, as well as Zoom Diallo from Washington, Justin McBride from James Madison, and Jerome Morton from Washington State. So definitely a ton of talent. They, spent pretty big in the transfer portal, but they did so last season as well and didn't really have the most success. So hopefully Mark Pope and the team can, put a bit of a better product on the floor this season. They were able to win a tournament game, so it wasn't, all, a loss, but definitely some higher expectations for the team last season that probably weren't met. But I definitely think that Alex Wilkins has the ability and the skill set to play at the SEC level. He's got a quick first step. He's a smart playmaker. He can finish through the lane. He can shoot from the perimeter. He can do a little bit of everything. So excited to see what he can do for the Wildcats. Next up for the LSU Tigers, actually a Kentucky transfer in Muhammad Diobate. He spent his first 2 seasons at Alabama and then played his last season at Kentucky and now is in his third SEC school for LSU this season. Last year for the Wildcats, he averaged 9 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block per game. He shot 54% from the field, 21% from 3, not really much of a shooter. Took 1 attempt per game there, and then 65% from the line. But definitely one of the more impactful glue guys and rotational guys. He's a really active defender, getting 2 stocks per game last season, and can do a little bit of everything. Can play, both of the big man spots. He can, block shots. He can step up on the perimeter and defend if he has to. And definitely going to be an interesting, squad for head coach Will Wade back at LSU. They are getting Abdi Bashir Jr. from Kansas State, Austin Nunez from UTSA, and Divine Ugachukwu from Michigan State to go along with, a handful of international guys coming back from being drafted. RJ Lewis maybe will even be on this team from St. John's a couple of years ago. Yamader, who was also a NBA draft pick. So really interesting squad for Will Wade and LSU. It'll be interesting to see if they, are able to kind of put all the pieces together and have a cohesive, unit. He's a really good coach, but there's definitely a lot of moving pieces and a lot of guys who have experience and probably want to be one of the more main scoring options. But I think Diobate can just be kind of like a solid glue guy for the Tigers this season. Next up for Mississippi State, Seton Hall transfer TJ Simpkins. Last season for the Pirates, Simpkins averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal per game. He shot 40% from the field, 37% from 3, and 78% from the line. He only started 2 games, but he played 25 minutes per game. He was a really effective scorer off the bench for Seton Hall last season. He will be going into his senior season, so excited to see what he can do at Mississippi State. They are expected to return Josh Hubbard this season, who obviously is their main scorer, 22 points per game. But they're also bringing in a ton of incoming transfers like R.J. Johnson from Kennesaw State, Trevor Reed, who is a D3 transfer. Going to be interesting to see how he can do at the SEC level, as well as ND Okafor from Washington State as well. And they are bringing in 2 top 100 recruits and Tristan Reed and Willie Burnett III. But I definitely think that TJ Simpkins can find a really meaningful role here with the Bulldogs and head coach Chris Jans. I think Simpkins is an effective scorer. I think he's, a tough-nosed player, tough-nosed guard. He could, defend. He's got pretty good size and, quick first step to get to the basket. Solid shooter from the perimeter as well, and going to be able to hopefully see him develop more as a playmaker and facilitator. But yeah, excited to see what he can do for the Bulldogs this year. Next up for the Missouri Tigers, I'm excited to see Kansas transfer Bryson Tiller, who was a highly ranked recruit coming into Kansas last season as a freshman, and he was solid in his freshman season, averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds, and assists per game. He shot 45% from the field, 27% from 3, and 69% from the line. So definitely going to need to improve as a outside shooter, just be more consistent from there. But I definitely think that Bryson can find a bit of a larger role here for Missouri. I think he's a really talented player, and I'm excited to see what he can do here for head coach Dennis Gates and the Tigers. They are losing a lot of production from last season, like Mark Mitchell, Anthony Robinson, Tio Barrett, and Jacob Cruz, as well as Jaden Stone. They are returning Trent Pierce from last season, who was their the main scoring option coming back, while also getting transfers Jordan Crawford from South Dakota, Cord Stansberry from Western Carolina, Jameer Jones from Providence, and Kennard Davis Jr. from BYU. But really exciting freshman class as well, headlined by Jason Crow, one of the top point guards in the class. Definitely, I think Missouri's like highest ranked recruit in either ever or like in a bunch of years. So excited to see him play for Missouri, as well as Tony Bryant and Aiden Cronister. So yeah, three really good freshmen coming in there. But I definitely think that Bryson Tiller has the chance to hopefully show a little bit more of his game, have a little bit of a larger role here with the Tigers this season. But I definitely think that Missouri could be a pretty competitive team in the SEC this year. Next up for the Oklahoma Sooners is going to be returning player Darion Reed. He started out his career in Alabama's freshman season and then transferred to Oklahoma for his sophomore season, and now he's back again for his junior year. Last season, he averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist per game, shot 51% from the field, 36% from three, and 76% from the line. So he's a really efficient scorer. He only took about 7 shots per game, so I definitely think there is going to be more opportunity and more chance for him to just have more production as a scorer, get more shots up, and just be able to score more effectively. There are not bringing back, or they are losing Nigel Pack and Tate Davis, who were some of their top scorers from last season. They are bringing back Xavier Brown, so him and Darion Reed I would expect to be two of the top scorers this season. They are bringing in a couple of key transfers like Tyler Hendricks from Utah Valley, Pop Isaacs from Texas A&M, and Yak Yak from Oregon State. And good, pretty solid incoming freshmen like Quincy Wadley and Gage Mayfield, who are both in the top ESPN's top 100. But I definitely think that Darion has the chance to really improve as a scorer, just have an overall just more opportunity, hopefully get 12 to 15 shots per game this season, and maybe get that scoring numbers close to like 16 to 18 points per game. That would be just great for him, and I think he's definitely capable. He's a talented player, so just excited to see him get more opportunity, hopefully. Next up for Ole Miss, I'm excited to see Seton Hall transfer Adam Bud Clark, who spent last season at Seton Hall. The first 2 seasons of his college career were at Merrimack. So last year for the Pirates, he averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals per game. Shot 44% from the field, 22% from 3, and 75% for the line. Now, Bud is definitely an undersized guard, and it's going to be important for him to continue to develop as a 3-point shooter. So try and add that to his game. But he's very quick. He's a solid defender for his size. He gets in the passing lanes, and he's a pretty physical. He's not going to back down from any contact. He's a solid finisher at the lane. He's able to get to the free throw line pretty effectively too. So definitely excited to see what he could do for head coach Chris Beard and the Rebels. They are bringing back a couple of guys from last season, like Elias Kamardine and Patton Pinkins, to go along with some key transfers like Desir Haskins from St. Joe's, Roman Sulepa from Pitt, Stefan Sisek from Pepperdine, to just name a few. But they're definitely losing a lot of production like AJ Storr and Malik Dia. So I think Bud Clark can step in and be one of the top scorers on the Rebels right away. And definitely excited to see what he can do at the SEC level, having transferred up from Merrimack to Seton Hall and now again to another Power 5 conference in the SEC. Next up for South Carolina, I'm excited to see George Mason transfer Cory Mincy. Mincy transferred from Presbyterian to George Mason last season and now is moving from the A10 to the SEC. Last year for George Mason, he averaged 14 points, 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal per game. He shot 44% from the field, 39% from 3, and 89% from the line. So he's a really efficient scorer, and I definitely think that he's going to be an effective scorer at the SEC level. Excited to see what he can do as probably one of the main scoring options for the Gamecocks. They're not really bringing back a ton of productive scorers from last season. They are bringing in a handful of transfers to go along with Mincy, like Shane Blakeney from Drexel, Jakob Nikas from Duquesne, Camden Heide from Texas, and Davion Hanna from Alabama, as well as 3 international recruits and a top 100 recruit in Marcus Johnson. So definitely a lot of change for head coach Lamont Paris. But I think Mincy has the opportunity to kind of step in to be a lead guard right away. He was an effective scorer at George Mason, could score at all 3 levels, solid 3-point shooter on pretty good volume as well. So definitely think that he's going to translate well to the SEC level. So definitely excited to see him with the Gamecocks this year. Next up for the Tennessee Volunteers, another one of the more highly touted transfer portal recruits in Juke Harris coming over from Wake Forest. Definitely one of the more improved players in the country last season, going from 6 points per game to 21 points per game this past season. He also averaged 6.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.3 steals per game. He shot 44% from the field, 33% from three, and 78% from the line on over 7 attempts per night. He's definitely a high volume scorer and shooter, and I definitely think that's going to be his role with the Volunteers this season and head coach Rick Barnes. Basically a whole new squad for Coach Barnes this season, losing Jacoby Gillespie, Nate Ament, JP Estrella, and Felix Okpara from last season, as well as Jalen Carey and Bishop Boswell as well. So pretty much the whole entire rotation for Tennessee is going to be new. Juke Harris is definitely leading the way in their transfers, as well as Day Amos from Cal, Jalen Harrelson from Notre Dame, Tyler Lundblade from Belmont, Terrence Hill Jr. from VCU, Miles Rubin from Loyola Chicago, top 100 recruits in Chris Washington Jr. and Ralph Scott. But yeah, definitely excited to see what Juke Harris could do. Try to get his name just further cemented as an NBA draft prospect. I thought he could probably go at least in the second round last year, but definitely getting some more guaranteed money here by spending another year at college. But Rick Barnes does a great job of kind of developing these, high volume scorers. Kind of saw it with Dalton Connect from Northern Colorado, making him a lottery draft or a first round draft pick. So maybe a similar story here for Juke Harris. Next up for the Texas Longhorns, one of my favorite players in the transfer portal this past year, David Punch, coming over from TCU. Just a really physical forward. He's listed at 6'7", 245. Can do a little bit of everything out there. Last season for the Horned Frogs, he averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.3 steals, and almost 2 blocks per game. He shot 50% from the field, 24% from three, and 65% from line. Just a really physical, imposing force down low, and was really impressive in both of his tournament games as well. So yeah, excited to see what he can do for head coach Sean Miller this year. Definitely losing a lot of production like Dalen Swain and Tremont Mark and Jordan Pope as well from last year. They are still bringing back Matas Titus, I believe is how you pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce his name actually, but he's going to be a really fun addition to the front court with Matas there. They're also bringing in Isaiah Johnson from Colorado, Mikey Lewis from St. Mary's, Elijah Freeman from Auburn, and Amari Evans from Tennessee to go along with a stacked recruiting class headlined by Marcus Spears Jr., who's now, I believe, reclassifying up to this class. Austin Gooseby and Bo Ogden, all top 100 recruits. Marcus Spears Jr. is listed as the number 4 recruit in the ESPN top 100. So really talented roster that they're building off a successful tournament run from last year, making it to the Sweet 16, I believe. And I think David Punch is going to be one of the best players on this team, and I'm really excited to see what he could do for the Longhorns this season. Next up for Texas A&M is actually going to be a transfer player in McKenzie Embako. Unfortunately, his season got cut short last year with a season-ending fracture in his right foot that he had to get surgery on. But in the 7 games, he played 19 minutes per game. He averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. Shot 39% from the field, 34% from 3, and 88% from line. He's a really effective shooter. He can space the floor really well, and he's got great size at 6'8", about 220 pounds. I definitely think he's going to be a really effective player coming back this season for head coach Bucky McMillan. They're also bringing back Zach Clements and Jamie Vinson from last season. Their transfer class is headlined by PJ Haggerty, coming over from Kansas State, one of the top scorers in the country last season at 23 points per game. Also, Tyshawn Archie from McNeese, Jalen Shelley from Loyola Marymount, and Lucas Walls from Radford. A couple of incoming recruits as well, like Nico Mundy, who was listed in the ESPN Top 100, and Bryson Warren, who played for the Westchester Knicks, and now, again, coming over from college basketball. Definitely going to be interesting to see how all those G League guys look. But specifically for Embako, I think he could really benefit to kind of playing with a high usage guy in a guy like PJ Haggerty, as Embako is more of a off-ball player, spotting up for threes and things like that. So I think having more of the defensive attention can lead to more open opportunities for Embako. Hopefully Haggerty is more willing and more just better as a facilitator and playmaker. I think that could really help out his game, and that could definitely help Embako's game as well this season. And lastly, for Vanderbilt, Missouri transfer Tio Barrett. I'm really excited to see him play for the Commodores this season. He actually had a really impressive game against Vanderbilt in the regular season last year. So now he will be joining the Commodores this season. For Missouri, as a sophomore, he averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.2 steals per game. Played in 23 minutes per game. Shot 46% from the field, only 21% from 3, and 79% from the line. That outside jumper and 3-point consistency is definitely a point of development for Barrett, and that's definitely going to be something that he has to work on. But he's a super physical guard. He's listed at 6'4", 200 pounds. He's really solid in the post. He could, get to the lane pretty effectively, use his size and strength to finish over opposing guards. And obviously with Vanderbilt getting Tyler Tanner back, who's going to be one of the top players in college basketball this season, I think the combination of him and Tio Barrett could be one of the best backcourts in the country. Also one of the best defensive backcourts in the country with just their ability to disrupt things on that end of the floor. Really excited to see them play together. They're also getting Ace Glass from Washington State, Bengot Dak from Colorado, and Sebastian Williams-Adams from Auburn to go along with incoming freshman Anthony Brown Jr., Ethan Embako, and Gabe Neesmith. So, yeah, really excited to see this squad for head coach Mark Byington. I think they're going to be super good this season. I think they're in store for another tournament berth and hopefully can even make a bit of a run in the NCAA tournament this season. And I think Tio Barrett's going to be a really solid player for them. So with that being said, that is going to be it for me today, everyone. Let me know in the comments below if you think I got your favorite school's player to watch right, or if there's someone else you might think that is going to have a breakout season that I really didn't touch on. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you did like this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.